afternoon, everyone. I'm Joseph Marquez. I'm one of the therapists and psychologists here at Prescription Psychiatrists and Psychologists. So I'm here to discuss to you about in regards to the theme of this, the global theme of the World Mental Health Day. Every 40 seconds, someone loses their life to suicide. So hashtag 40 seconds of action. Are we all Filipinos here? Do we have foreign participants? Okay, so we have foreign participants. Okay, so I have to speak English. So please bear with me. Okay. Okay, so my topic to discuss is about suicide awareness and prevention. So maybe some of you have heard this suicide awareness. Actually, last September, it was celebrated Suicide Awareness Month, the whole month of September. So for this year, for the World Mental Health Day, because it is very rising, it's a very important issue right now that it's also a health risk or a health crisis regarding this topic. So of course, what is suicide? That's just in the ideology or the etymology. So it is derived from the Latin words sui means oneself and sidium or a killing. So it's primary. It is a primary emergency for mental health professional, especially to SAMs. I am a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Also, guidance counselors at school are also part of the mental health profession. And it is a major public health problem. So the definition is, suicide is defined as an act with a fatal outcome that is deliberately initiated and performed by the person in the knowledge or expectation of its fatal outcome. So it is a complex phenomenon. Insurmountable disparity between expectations and outcomes, real or imagined, tremendous pressure on the mind, blinding its logic, forcing it a conclusion of escape. Okay, so that is how suicide being defined. So here you will see the word escape. So some other people who commit suicide, they believe that it's the only way for them to ease whatever they're feeling. Okay, that's their only option. So that's how it is being defined here. So let's go to the historical perspective. Why is such thing? Now, may suicide. Why is it happening? So even before, tagal na. It's been long now. It's been long. There is a suicide. There's suicide. So suicide has been variously glorified, romanticized, bemoaned, and even condemned. Especially the novel of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, right? They committed suicide in the end. Spoiler alert sa mga hindi pa nakakabasa. But it happened. So it being romanticized, especially now. There are other TV series now who romanticize suicide. Also, part of the history is in ancient Athens, a person who committed suicide without the approval of the state was denied the honors of a normal burial. Also in ancient Greece and Rome, suicide was deemed to be an unacceptable method to deal with military defeat. We do that as well. In the 19th century Europe, now the act of suicide shifted from being viewed as by sin to being caused by insanity. So nagkakaroon na siya ng development before. Okay? And now, so as part of the religious belief, in Islam, suicide is prohibited. Okay, so some people, some Muslims, the suicide bombing, they believe, other Muslims that I've talked to, they said that it's prohibited and they will not go to or be with Allah. So that's what they say. But still, they believe that when they do that, it becomes something else for those people who commit suicide or who does the suicide bombing. In Christianity, it is believed to be a sin. In Hinduism, suicide is condemned. So according to one of the scriptures in the practice of Hinduism, he who takes his own life will enter the sunless areas covered by impenetrable darkness after death. Okay. Also part of their belief in some other parts of Hinduism, they permit suicide for religious reasons. Some, it is considered the best sacrifice was that of one's own life, or what they call sadhana. Or sati, where a woman immolated herself to acquire of her husband rather than live the life of a widow. So sumasama siya doon sa kanyang husband. Okay, so she'll commit suicide. So that's their practice. Okay? So let's define the difference between suicide and self-harm. A lot of cases that we're handling, especially with adolescents, they are not prone, but what they do is self-harming. They would cut themselves or bang their head against the wall in order for them to feel something, aside from the feeling that they are feeling, currently feeling. Okay? So suicide is an act of, for the end result is fatality. But with self-harm, as what I've said, they just want to feel a physical pain rather than the emotional pain that they're having. So they do self-harm until they reach that certain feeling to the point wherein they already have scars all over their arms or legs. But they do not they do not use this, or they do not wish to die, rather than uses for their coping mechanism. Coping mechanism is a conscious action that you do in order to cope with a certain stress that you're having. So that's the difference. Okay, with self-harming, of course, it is an issue. Why are they doing that? They don't know how to handle their own stress that they're currently having. So what they do is self-harm. They are not aware that there are other things for them to do in order to relieve whatever that thing that they're feeling. Okay? So it is a part of this is some are culturally accepted aesthetic modifications such as piercing. Some nagpapa-pierce, nagpapa-tattoo. So some of them does that. Not all of those people who have tattoos undergo this process, okay? Let's not judge. So just some people who does that. That's the only way for them to cope on the certain thing that they're having. In the global scenario, there are according to the World Health Organization, there are reported 800,000 people die every year of suicide. Their estimated annual mortality is about 14.5 deaths per 100,000. Around one person every 40 seconds die of suicide as the current status. And 75% of suicide occur in the low and the middle income countries. It is the 10th leading cause of death worldwide. Pang 10th siya, so it's very high. So it is like same like other illnesses that other people are having. As you all know that suicide is actually preventable. Okay? Also, it is the leading cause Second leading cause of death in 15 to 29 years old. Are there any participants that we have within this age range, 15 to 29? Okay, so we have marami. Okay, so this is the second leading cause of death to 15 to 29 years old. Suicide worldwide was estimated to represent 2.4% of the total global burden of disease projected in the 2020 from the World Health Organization. So let's think, how many na ba yung population natin, the whole world? And then, get the 2.4%. That's a lot. Okay? In Russia, India, Japan, Korea, France, and China has the highest suicide rate per year according to the World Population Review as of 2019, last September 2019. And the Philippines ranked at 163, which is actually low, which is a good thing. That's reported to have 3,413 reported cases of suicide. So out of 180 countries, we're at 163. It should be lower than this. Okay? So that will be the target. Lower. But in some countries like Japan and Korea, they do that as of their custom or their culture. Yeah, harakiri. Right? Have you seen the movie 47 Ronin? If you see the movie 47 Ronin, they do harakiri there. You know, if you're going to see it. But that practice is acceptable for their culture. Okay? The prevalence is there are 1 in 10 college students has seriously considered suicide. Suicidal thoughts, making plans for suicide, and suicide attempts are higher among adults aged 18 to 25 than among adults over the age of 26. Okay. So, suicides on college campuses per year. This is not here in the Philippines, okay? So, we're talking about myths. Have you ever encountered someone expressing their thoughts of giving life, like giving up on life? Okay? And then, other people will just say na stay positive, wala lang yan, ganyan. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But we're going to discuss about myths about suicide. Ano po ba, what do you know about suicide currently? Aside from the facts that I've told you earlier, a while ago, what do you know about suicide? Anyone? What do you think po? Yes po. You will end your life. Okay, what else? I'm sorry. Mental illness. Okay. What else? What do we know? The participants. What do you know about suicide? I'm sorry, what?
It's a form of escape.
Form of escape? Okay, what else?
It ends the pain.
I'm sorry?
It ends the pain.
It ends the pain. Okay. Meron pa? Yes, ma'am. Okay, some people live suicide. Okay, so we have now to discuss about the myths about suicide. What should be done, for example? This is very common. If someone expresses suicide, people will avoid talking about suicide because they believe that asking someone about suicide will increase the risk of suicide. But it's actually not. It has been shown that asking someone about suicide lowers the anxiety, opens up communication, and lowers the risk. At by this time, we know, okay, how do you feel? What comes to this decision or these thoughts? What happened? At least they were able to talk about that. And you will feel better. Okay? Only experts can stop suicide. Of course, no. Tumalo na sila. Wala naman yung mga psychologists, psychiatrists, guidance counselors there. So, we cannot stop that. But, anyone can stop suicide. How? Listen. Show you care and provide hope. You're not saying, stay positive, ganito lang, this is what we're going to do. No. Just stay there. And by being present with them, by their side, you'll feel better. Suicide people don't talk about it. So that's a myth. But most suicidal people have given some sort of clue or communicated an intent prior to their attempt. Especially ngayon, with the millennials and the Gen Zs. They'll post something online. Parang ayoko na sa earth. Ganyan. It's actually a clue that he or she is contemplating suicide. It's just that us and other people will react. Naliinar, kaya papansin, ganyan. Getting attention. It's actually getting attention. It's actually real. That this is their cry for help. Okay? That whenever someone posted something online or Twitter or Instagram or wherever form of social media platform, it's actually a cry for help. And maybe you just need someone to talk to or someone who can listen to them. Okay? Another myth is those who talk about suicide don't do it. They're still actually going to do it. It doesn't mean that you're there, you listen. Okay? There will be, you will still even try to do it. Okay? Once a person decides to attempt suicide, no one can change their mind. Again, suicide is preventable, a form of that. So preventable. It can be stopped. Almost any positive action may save a life. So later we'll discuss how are we going to help those people about contemplating suicide. Okay? And no one can stop suicide. If people in crisis get the help they need, they are far less likely to attempt suicide. So those are the myths. Do you, aside from this, have you heard other myths regarding suicide? Banana? Okay. So we're going to discuss about the risk factors. So what could be the possible reasons that people commit suicide or attempt or having these suicidal ideations? Okay? First one, depression. Okay? Are you all aware about depression? What depression is? Okay. So depression is not a feeling. Okay, that's the first one. I feel depressed. No, you feel sad. But the question is, how long have you been feeling sad? Okay? So you have to clear those up. Okay? Depression is not a feeling, it is a state. So usually people who have depression, for such a long time they've been feeling down, those people who have depression, because they fed up of feeling the same feeling every day, and other people, they see other people very happy. You know, they're thinking, why can't they feel happy? You know, so for them, one of their ideations is to commit suicide. But not all people who have depression are suicidal. Okay? Let's just hear this. Those. Low self-esteem. Again, some people with low self-esteem, once they, pity themselves regarding, for example, they're not actually, they feel like the sense of worth. You feel like they don't value, or they are not worth anything. So some people with those thoughts or feelings could be a risk factor. Of course, mental illness and an actual, the physical illness could be a risk factor. Substance abuse or dependence is actually a risk factor. Eating disorders. People who have anorexia or bulimia are also at risk of suicide. Of course, family history of suicide. Self-mutilation. Prior suicide attempt. Situational crisis. And some students or other people may be at risk or increased risk due to injuries, intense pressure, success, failure, or mindset. So within this area, some are, for example, there are actors. Right? There are actors who succumb to the intense pressure of, still being known, or that their passion is acting, but you don't have any projects anymore. Okay, so they feel like they're worthless. So they start to feel all of those things. So here, can you see? It's too little. Anyway, so these are the number of warning signs. So we have low risk, high risk, and very high risk in assessing someone for suicide. Low risk, the potential risk factors are something I mentioned earlier are part of it. Also here, with, for example, unemployment, or recent financial difficulties is actually a risk factor and can also cause of depression. Okay? Divorced, separated, widowed. We have handled teenagers or adolescents who are at 16 who's contemplating about suicide because they broke up with their boyfriends or girlfriends. As you see, it may sound petty, right? But for them, it's heavy. So we cannot just invalidate someone's feeling. Naku, wala na yan. That's nothing. No? You cannot just say that. But for them, it's very heavy. Okay? Social isolation. Suddenly, they stop talking to you, stop going to your usual events. For example, you asked to join them, or you were asked to join, and then suddenly, you don't feel like coming to the event or party anymore. And for the longest time, they're still inviting you, but you still don't want to talk to them. You're always in their room. You do not leave their house. Okay? Prior traumatic life event or abuse, especially those victims of sexual abuse, previous suicide behavior, chronic mental illness, and chronic debilitating physical illness. So these are just the potentiating risk factors that I've mentioned already. So if they're experiencing those, they are at the low risk. So So as it goes up, it becomes very high. So these are the number of warning signs. So if you have friends, family members, or anyone you know who are experiencing this, maybe they are at risk. You'll never know unless you reach out to them. Okay? So they express us no reason for living, no sense of purpose in life. Dramatic changes in mood. Sudden shift. They become irritated, they become sad all of a sudden. Anxiety, agitation, abnormal of sleep, too much or too little. If you see someone who sleeps every day, like for example, they sleep for the whole 10 hours, 11 or 12 hours, there may be something wrong. Withdrawing from family and friends, as I mentioned earlier. Increasing or excessive substance use. Again, this is their form of coping for them. And in order for them to feel better, they use drugs or other substances. Expressing feelings of being trapped with no way out. Acting reckless, engaging impulsively in risky behavior. So for example, they do drugs, they have casual sex. So that is part of it. Okay? Those are the risky behaviors. Rage, anger, seeking revenge. Hopelessness. Expressing ideation about suicide, wish to die, or death. Evidence or expression of a suicide plan. Seeking or access to means, for example, seeking pills, weapons, or other means. So, when someone asks you where to buy a gun, okay, or for example, if you know someone in the medical field, that someone magpapareseta of the medicine, sleeping pills or something. And then threatening to harm or end one's life. So these are the warning signals. So from this, the low risk, now high risk. Low risk, what you do, recommend counseling and monitor for developmental warning signs. For high risk, seek help from a mental health professional. And very high risk, seek immediate help from emergency or mental health professional. So let's, based from this, these are warning signs. So I'll be giving you some examples, and then if someone can assess the risk, okay, of these situations. The first one, Carlos, 40 years old, was fired from his job. Recently, his youngest daughter got sick and needed to be hospitalized and need of a surgery. He has an understanding wife and loving kids and supportive friends. He is worried about how he can finance the medical expenses and to support his family. He started drinking again and contemplating about suicide. So based on the warning signs and the warning signals, if we're going to assess the risk factor of suicide with Carlos, what do you think is the risk? Anyone? No? Sana may magtaas na kamay so we can talk. Kasi may prize po tayo. Where's the prize? Okay. Okay, then tell me if what is the risk and why it is your answer, okay? Sige. Sino ba? Sige, ma'am.
With the presence of understanding wife and support of friends, there is become a lower.
Okay. Do you agree po ba? Do you agree that there is a low risk? And the reason, okay. Tama, it is actually a low risk. So this is your prize. Okay, so this time, if someone would want to answer, you must be in front and tell the whole room the reason of your answer. Okay? Liza, 15 years old, was once admitted at the hospital due to a suicide attempt. Now, she is back at school and started attending classes. She's not missing attendance in 2 months. Later, she found out that she got a low score in one subject. She became sad and started to withdraw from her classmates. She felt hopeless and started to stay at the 6th floor of their school building. So what is the risk assessment? Dito po, punta po kayo dito.
May risk.
Why? Why is it high risk?
The previous attempt.
Okay.
So it's very likely that she will commit suicide.
Okay. Do you agree? High risk. Okay. Yes, it is a high risk. Two very high risk of suicide. So, dahil dyan, have a prize. Okay, because also, actually, she's already attempting suicide. Why? Staying at the 6th floor of their school building. Okay, and of course, she started withdrawing from her classmates. There are warning signals, but she's already attempting it. Okay? This is the last one. Anna, 25, was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's an athlete, an Olympian. Now, she cannot do anything that she used to. She began isolating herself from her family and friends. Oh, hi, very happy. Sir?
I think it's high risk. Based on the, she feels hopeless and useless. She started drinking alcohol. That's the sign of, one of the sign of high risk with regards to suicide.
Pero, question lang po, pero she claimed that she has no suicide ideations. What do you think about that? So she's actually a high risk, okay? Even though she's saying that, she's claiming that she has no suicide ideations. As of that moment, we don't know, okay? Diba, we've talked about earlier the myths of suicide, okay? So what to look for? So again, talking about suicide, withdrawal from friends, family, and teammates, especially in the company. Diba, in some companies you have teammates, right? So, making statements about feeling hopeless, helpless, or worthless, dramatic changes in mood, preoccupation of death, purposelessness, a loss of interest in the things that one cares about. For example, Anna, who used to be an athlete, okay? Giving away valued possessions. Have you experienced this? Namimigay siya, she's giving things that she has, you know. For example, a bracelet, a memento, you know, or a necklace, or a bag that she loves, and giving this to you because, you know, yes. Someone gave you a Birkin bag, right? It's a Birkin bag. Unexplained anger, aggression, and irritability, and loss of an important relationship. A death of someone could be part of the risk factors. So how to start? Okay, so are there any mental health professional here? So, okay. So if you're not a mental health professional, this is how you're going to start helping those people, or the people who are having this problem issue. You can ask them the following. So do you feel like your mood has changed lately? For them to be self-aware of any changes about their mood. For example, you're the friend and you notice something changed, so you can ask them that. Have you been feeling sad in the last week or two? Okay, so you don't ask, do you feel depressed? No, by asking, do you feel sad? Have you felt the increase in stress lately? Have any stressful events happened recently in your life? And especially, have you had thoughts of hurting yourself? So you can start your conversation with these questions. And have you felt so bad that you have thoughts of death, or thoughts of suicide? So how to help? So if you're concerned that the person is at risk to harm himself or herself or others, you should ask them to talk with someone who can help. But initially, what you need to do is, if they are talking to you, listen to them. Okay? Don't tell them, you should seek professional help. Kaagad. Don't do that. Listen first. If you feel like in your capacity you can handle the situation, then you refer them to a mental health professional. But before doing that, of course, listen and then accompany them. Don't just tell them. When I refer you to a psychiatrist or psychologist, you should accompany them. Okay? Set up a meeting or a phone call with a mental health professional to assess safety. Stay with them until they are a safe environment and have had contact with a mental health professional. Make sure that a follow-up appointment with a mental health counselor has been made. If you are a parent or a friend, especially with parents, okay, make this sure that they have a follow-up appointment. If your if your children are adults already, just be with them. Especially if for example, the mental health professional assesses that there is a high risk, they will inform the immediate family member or the next of kin of the person. Okay? Of course, refer to a mental health professional. If needed, for example, you don't have any access to any mental health professional, and the point where they told you that, I feel hopeless, I want to die now, bring them to the nearest hospital with an emergency room, and then the doctor there are trained that they can handle the person. Okay? So bring them to the nearest hospital who have an ER. So bring them there. What not to say? If someone told you that they are contemplating suicide, don't say it's not bad. It's not that bad. Wala lang yan, kumbaga, di ba sa atin? Most Filipinos does that. That's nothing. Okay? You say, stay positive. No, the person's already having difficulty being positive, and that's what they're going to say. So they feel like, I'm not capable of feeling that way. I just want to die. Okay? And, sorry. And then you say, don't say that, That will not help. I know how you feel. No, you don't know how I feel. You can just say, I hear what you're saying. Okay? I hear you. Sa Tagalog, nakikinig ako sa'yo. Naririnig kita. Pinapakinggan kita. Okay? I would be devastated if you were gone. In the first place, this is not about you. Okay? It's about the person. Do you really think that He would care about how you feel at that moment? No. Because I'm the one who is in crisis. Okay? It's not about you, it's about me. You have a lot to live for. Again, you're not feeling that. Other people have it worse. You're being selfish. Yung sabihin mo, in Filipino, ang daming may hirap dyan, hindi ka nagpapakamatay, ikaw pa. Diba? Yeah, you have it all. Why are you feeling that way? But some people actually who are very rich can still feel this. Everyone can be affected by this. Any race, any gender, any age. And not especially the one who is below childhood. Okay? But there are cases where a 9 years old committed suicide. You'll go to hell. Again, they doesn't care where they're going at that moment. They just want to end this. Okay? So how to respond? When someone comes to you for help, let them know that they are not alone and that you are there for them. And offer a work through their issues together. Make sure to acknowledge their feelings and let them know how much they mean to you. Let them know it is okay to be sad. It is also important to say that you can understand how they are feeling, but you'd like to understand and offer your support and compassion. Above all, listen and then listen some more. Ask, how can I help you? And never judge. You can do your best to empathize with someone, but you can never truly know that they are feeling what they are feeling. Make sure they know that they are not alone and that you are not going to abandon them. Okay? So here are the suicide hotlines. So this is the number for the National Center for Mental Health. It's 017-899-USAP or 091-989-8727. And then we have the hope line here. Okay, so if you know someone, you can just talk to them or spread these numbers. So if you cannot be with them physically, at least they know that they can talk to someone who can listen to them. And with that, thank you very much for listening.